Stepping into the mid-1960s, the realm of aviation was witnessing a significant surge in the popularity of twin-engine airplanes. They offered better performance and additional safety thanks to the second engine and were considered a status symbol among pilots. However, along with these advantages came a significant concern. In their early days, multi-engine aircraft had around 30% more accidents compared to single-engine aircraft. In the race for safer general aviation, Piper, Beechcraft, and Cessna were scratching their heads to find an innovative solution. While it seemed logical to analyze and improve on a conventional twin-engine layout, Cessna made a plane that, once again, became a unique part of history and a testament to the aviation engineering of that era. Welcome to the Big Metal Birds. In this video, we will tell the story of Cessna Skymaster, a plane that should have had all the benefits of two engines without the added risk. But did it succeed? Let's find out. The journey of the Skymaster began in the early 1960s as Cessna sought to address the safety concerns associated with conventional twin-engine aircraft. The decision to move away from the typical side-mounted engine configuration was driven by a desire to eliminate the problem of asymmetrical thrust. Cessna's engineers believed they could create a twin-engine aircraft that was safer and easier to handle, and so the concept of the Cessna 336 was born. While the push-pull configuration of the Skymaster was unique among civil aircraft of its era, the concept wasn't entirely new. The idea of centerline thrust had been explored in several earlier aircraft. Perhaps the most famous of these was the World War II-era Dornier Du 335. There was even a Fokker F-32, a four-engine beast with two engines in a push-pull config under each wing. By the way, let me know in the comments which one is your favorite among push-pull planes. But let's get back to Cessna. The non-pressurized fixed-gear version of 336 first flew in 1964. It was a bold departure from the norm, but the design was met with intrigue in the aviation world. And thanks to clever marketing, Cessna soon began fulfilling dozens of orders. The popularity of the 336 grew so much that the FAA even granted it its own class rating, limiting pilots to centerline thrust twins only. But let's take a closer look at the specs and performance of this bird. The idea behind the Skymaster was to blend the performance and capacity of the twin and ease of use of a single-engine plane. Well, in terms of capacity, this plane delivered. First of all, let's start with the fuselage. Measuring 30 feet or 9 meters long and 9.4 feet or almost 3 meters in height, with a notable wingspan of 38 feet or 12 meters. It's a pretty big plane, but fun fact, the wing is just 2 feet longer than one of the 182 Skylane. And talking about the wing, strutted, high wing configuration, just like in many other Cessnas, provided excellent visibility and performance. The base configuration allowed for 6 passengers plus cargo, and this is where you really feel the added power of the second engine. Early models of the 336 were capable of 4,400 pounds, or almost 2 tons of gross weight, whereas early Skylane could carry just around 2,000 pounds, or 1,200 kilograms. But in terms of speed, it wasn't all that great. Its massive split rear, with a double tail, provided an incredibly stable flight experience, but many pilots report very slow and wide turns. And while I can't debate the added safety from this stability, the cruising speed itself wasn't great either. The first model came with Cessna's favorite engine of that time, the Continental IO 360. With just 195 horsepower, it was capable of around 140 knots or around 250 kilometers per hour. No-brainer that in its early days, it was favored mostly by air taxis and small cargo companies. Cessna realized that and acted quickly. So in 1965, the 337 Super Skymaster appeared to replace the old 336. It had a retractable gear, redesigned nose cowling, and a more powerful modification of the IO 360. Reduced drag and 210 horsepower from the new engine did their job, with 230 planes sold that year. A few other updates here and there added the necessary speed, both in terms of cruise and climb. But speed is relative, and if you ever bought a fast car, remember how quickly you realized that it's not fast enough? Same with Cessna. In 1972, they built a pressurized Skymaster, enhancing all the other properties along the way. This version had turbocharged engines, each producing 225 horsepower. For the turbocharged and pressurized versions, cruise speed was increased to 200 knots, which is equal to 230 miles or 370 kilometers per hour. The climb rate also improved to 1,200 feet per minute. And what's important is that the single-engine climb rate was still at least 300 feet per minute. It didn't break any records, but it got the job done. By the way, talking about horsepower, with these push-pull planes, it's not all that straightforward. For conventional twins, in this case, you would say that the total horsepower is 420. But in the case of the Skymaster, it's much less, around 360 horsepower. This loss is due to the front propeller disturbing the air when passing it to the rear prop, which is constantly flying in turbulence. On the other hand, many pilots can recognize a Skymaster with their eyes closed, thanks to the distinct sound of the rear propeller. In terms of the cabin, it's roomy and well lit, just like the majority of Cessnas, because of the same high-mounted wing. In this plane, Cessna actually tried to add just a touch of luxury, a clamshell door. The top half of the clamshell door opens out and up, while the bottom part descends to function as an access step. Remember 4,400 pounds gross weight? Well, it sounds impressive, but note that there are no baggage compartments, neither in the cabin nor the fuselage. This can be fixed later by removing some seats or all seats for cargo operations. Oddly enough, what began as a 6-seater later became a 5- and 4-seater. Worth mentioning that there was an optional underbelly cargo pod to fix this problem. While doing my research, it seemed like Cessna ultimately wanted to fix the dead engine yaw of twins and completely forgot about everything else. But did they succeed? Well, yes and no. When you fly a conventional twin, the procedure after an engine failure is stressful. Besides compensating with pedals, there are lots of things to pay attention to. In the case of a Cessna, you feather it and fly normally. Just be aware that your twin engine became a single engine in a moment. Well, believe it or not, besides the many factors that can cause engine failure, the Skymaster adds more to this list. The majority of airplane engines are air-cooled, and while the front engine receives a lot of air because of the prop pulling air behind it, right where the intake is, the rear engine's prop is a pusher, so it pushes the air away from it. This has led to numerous rear engine failures, especially on dry and sunny days. Well, when you expect the plane to climb 1,000 feet per minute, but actually, it's capable of only 200 feet, since the rear engine is lost. Not the best memory to have. This is the reason why nearly all of the used Skymasters available are equipped with an exhaust gas temperature indicator, which provides the clearest indication if the rear engine is fine. To be fair, this problem occurred only on takeoff, because when you cruise 180 knots somewhere at 10,000 feet, the rear engine gets cooled by the wind picked into the intake on the top of the Skymaster. Another thing Cessna didn't really think about, and which was sacrificed for safety: noise. Imagine that. You are basically sitting between two single-engine cockpits. So, in short, double the noise. But wait, each and every plane we do a video about has its place in history and the hearts of hundreds or even thousands of pilots. And the 337 is not an exception. The Cessna Skymaster is truly a unique plane, and flying this to the airfield, you definitely won't go unnoticed. How do I usually understand that the plane made a mark in history? Just look at the clubs. Skymaster has its own, and it's huge. This aircraft is for the pilots who not only want to soar high, but also carry a part of history, even if it comes with a slightly noisier cabin and high maintenance costs. Nevertheless, this plane will definitely give you the safety that many newer planes cannot. In case you are interested in buying one, tradeaplane.com has lots of options for around $140,000, with a few premium ones featuring glass cockpits, pressurized cabins, and all the other sweet features waiting for new owners willing to spend a hefty $400,000. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.